If you look at the amount of points that Oscar did not score, it's huge compared to all the other drivers. I mean, Max outscored him by far. Lando, of course, outscored him by far, his championship rivals. And yeah, it's Oscar's situation at the moment that he had no podium for the last 5 races. He knows that if the guy starts from the pit lane and he looks to the left on the podium, why is he next to me on the podium? That's impossible. And the rule says if your wheels are not in front of the apex or the symmetry of the front suspension at the apex of the other car, you have to give way. We can guarantee that Yuki doesn't get the seat next year. That's just a positive. That's going to happen. So Yuki has to find a place somewhere else.
Well, we are back. It is the Pit Talk powered by Thara down here at Miglia Gallery and Café right in the heart of Dubai. Robert Doornbos, Chris McHardy back for another edition, Roberto. Yeah. Where do we even start?
Brazil never disappoints.
Oh,
I tend to say this every weekend after Grand Prix because most recently all the Grand Prix have been good. But Brazil, old school track. We didn't even have rain and it was exciting. Yeah, there's lots to talk about.
There is lots to talk about. What I want to do, however, I'm going to start on football on this edition.
Football.
Now, all you F1 fans, don't switch off. I'm only going to keep this brief. Liverpool,
yes.
Beaten again, 7 defeats in the last 10 in all competitions. They were beaten 3-0 by Manchester City on Sunday. And I think I know why. And it's got nothing to do with Florian Wirtz. It's got nothing to do with defensive lapses and concentration. It's all to do with Robert Doornbos.
No, you can't say that, Chris.
You're to blame.
Am I?
You're to blame.
I thought it was an honest, meeting with Arne Slot here in Dubai, where he was on holiday with his family. We had a quick drink, and I mean, maybe that was the wrong choice.
You were in his ear. You gave him some tactical advice.
I did feel bad. No, I did feel bad. I thanked him initially because he made my club champion in Holland with Feyenoord, and obviously he's done great with Liverpool this first year. So I chatted to him about the season, and they were doing well up until then. And then I started following it, so I'm now scared to send him even a text message anymore.
Don't do it.
Sorry, Arne. Not sorry.
So Liverpool fans,
I'm so
direct
sorry.
your ire to Robert Doornbos. Bad weekend for Liverpool. It was another bad weekend for Oscar Piastri. We'll get to all of that, but an unbelievable weekend for Formula One action over in Brazil. 33 points up for grabs, Robert. We had the sprint race once again, of course, then the Grand Prix on Sunday. And it was a weekend, it was the stuff of dreams for a certain Lando Norris.
Yeah, very similar what we have seen from Max in the US. 33 points, maximum giveaways you can take home. So it's he's been on fire recently. And I think mentally he's changed a lot. I don't think he particularly breaks later or he just makes less mistakes. He seems more in control per session. So the qualifying, he really attacks. If he makes a small mistakes, he recovers quickly. In the race, the safety car restarts, the launch of the grid. I mean, Brazil is not easy if you're on the front row. The road falls down a bit, so you have to hold the brake and the throttle and the clutch. Everything seems to go well with Lando. So, yeah, he has this championship vibe around him at the moment. He cannot rest yet, but the advantage is becoming quite substantial.
You and I were talking about it this morning. The gap for Lando to Oscar was 34 points after Zandvoort. Yeah. Of course, he had to retire in that race. 34 points behind to now 24 points ahead. A 58-point swing.
Unbelievable.
In 6 races.
Unbelievable. Yeah, if you look at the amount of points that Oscar did not score, it's huge compared to all the other drivers. I mean, Max outscored him by far. Lando, of course, outscored him by far, his championship rivals. And yeah, it's Oscar's situation at the moment that he had no podium for the last 5 races. So it's mental if you think about it. The guy won the most races, 7 in the first half of the season, and afterwards it's been nowhere.
Tough.
Yeah, it's been tough.
We'll get to Oscar. In terms of Lando, let's focus on him because I think obviously he deserves all the credit in the world. We were asking questions on this very podcast about Lando Norris, his mentality. I found it fascinating this weekend, Robert. He's talked about the fact that he does care about perceptions. He does care what people are saying in the media. He's saying that he's tried to care less, but he still does care about how he is perceived. As a Formula One driver, I know what you're going to say. Max Verstappen could not
give a shit.
Exactly. He couldn't.
Yeah. No, and that mentality, I don't think anybody has on the grid. Maybe Alonso in his good days, when he was really on fire, fighting Michael Schumacher for the championship. Now there's only one guy that really doesn't care about anybody. And it's Lando who's been really honest and open about his mental struggles. And I think that's also part of the development of the new generation athletes, that they are outgoing about their mental state. I mean, it's more than just being physically fit. You also have to deliver mentally. And small details, like we discussed the other day in the podcast, that he changed his steering dash, that he doesn't want to see his lap time in qualifying plus or minus, because it just mentally frustrates him, and then he will make more mistakes. In this case, he just doesn't read the news articles anymore. I hope he watches the EP12 podcast, of course. Lando, keep watching what we're saying about you and the team. That will help you through it. But I mean, that's part of F1 nowadays. I think any athlete, you know a lot of athletes, you've met a lot of athletes in your life, but there's no sport that they're so media intense as Formula One, because you're on the grid talking to a media guy. Yeah. The moment you take off the helmet, boom, the microphone is there. So it's different than with soccer, for example. These players, before a match, they don't talk to the media. And so the media can really make you or break you.
It's interesting though, Rob, because we spoke on a previous, I think it was maybe a couple of episodes ago, and you talked about the fact that Max is living rent-free in Lando's head. And after the race win late over here in Dubai on Sunday night, you know, Lando was talking about, yes, it's great, I'm 24 points ahead of Oscar Piastri in the Drivers' Championship, but Max and Red Bull were still quick. Yeah. And I'm coming away from this race asking my team, whoa, why were they so quick? We need to find that pace again. So, I mean, is that the right mentality to have?
I think so. I never give up mentality. It's a little bit like Max said with Red Bull over the weekend. You know, they were nowhere setup-wise, struggling, making mistakes on the setup, and then qualifying, exiting Q1 in qualifying. I think Max, the last time that happened was in 2017 or something. So a crazy weekend for him up until then and there. And then the team said, okay, no, we're going to take our penalty. We'll start from the pit lane, and we change the setup just to keep pushing, keep innovating. New engine, fresh engine that didn't vibrate as much. That's interesting. Supposedly the engines, when they run out, they start vibrating more, and that has an effect on the balance. So the new power, the new torque levels delivered. But to go back to Lando, yes, he doesn't give up, because he knows I didn't win the race with 30-second lead like I did in Mexico. That was dominance, pure dominance. But here, Max was outperforming on pace. Of course, different strategy. But he knows that if the guy starts from the pit lane and he looks to the left on the podium, why is he next to me on the podium? That's impossible. So he steals away the show again.
So a bit of an unfair question, and you're saying that Lando might watch or listen to this. I'm sure he switched off a long time ago with some of the stuff we've said on this pod. But be honest with me now. We give credit for Lando the weekend he's had.
Definitely.
And interestingly enough, I know one or two journalists were calling it the drive of the season. Not quite sure I agree with that.
It's a bit too much, maybe. But for him, yes, I think he's on top of his level. But if you see the dominance, we've seen more dominant performances.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But question I was going to ask, Lando and his newfound mentality, or is it still mistakes being made by Oscar Piastri? What, in your opinion, has led to this swing?
Don't forget to put in the McLaren papaya rules that cause some sort of uncertainty in Oscar's head compared to Lando. Because we all had the feeling that the team was favoring Lando. The team couldn't help Lando more this weekend than what they did. So it's a pure performance. Well done, Lando. Fantastic performance with you and your engineering team. But Oscar has made many mistakes. And I think Baku was the lowest of the lowest you can go in a position as Oscar is. He was leading the World Championship and putting the car in the wall 2 times on the street circuit. That doesn't give him the confidence now to arrive in Las Vegas next week to showcase his talents there. But it goes hand in hand, I think. So one guy in the team starts delivering and you have a debrief together. So you feel the positive vibes on the other end. You're underperforming. You make some mistakes. So the balance shifts quite easily and rapidly in a team. And we spoke to David about it last week as well, that in a top team, when you're fighting each other for victories, I mean, Red Bull doesn't have this situation. They have one guy running last and one guy running up front. So it's a whole different vibe anyhow in the engineering room. But if you're both fighting for points and championship lead, it's a different vibe. So,
and what you've said there is interesting, Robert. You talked there about a debrief.
Yeah.
So when the team debrief,
yes,
Oscar and Lando are in the same room.
headset on, they listen to each other.
So they're hearing all the praise for Lando.
Anything. It starts off with the team boss walking in, guys, well done, and congratulations, team, and blah, 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 blah. And then you get into the depth of it, and you feel, obviously, I can only imagine. I mean, it was already with me fighting for P11, P10. If one guy my teammate was better or I was better, you sit there, hey, I beat them. I'm running the organization here. But the next weekend, you get hit on the head again. So it's always a balance.
So they are the intangibles.
Yeah, when it's all part of the show.
Exactly. When we talk about, Oscar's start to the campaign, he won 7 of the first 15 races.
Yeah.
He's not won another one since. When we talk about what's going on between his ears, all of this adds up to a feeling that maybe he's just not ready to win a world championship right now. Because to your point, he's made 6 significant errors. If we include his spinning off on turn 3 in the sprint race, that's now 6 errors. He's made in the last 5
And you can only look in the mirror, and that's the team aspect. Then you have your manager, Mark Webber. I'm sure Mark will always say, come on, OP, this is it. You have it in your hands. It's not over yet. Show them. And that was probably the motivation of diving into turn 1 next to... he took a lot of risks there, fighting for a championship. And he got penalized for a 10-second stop-and-go penalty. Is a lot. It's the maximum you can get, including 2 points on his license. But also that is in his mind. I have to take opportunities. I cannot let him disappear into the distance. He's in front of me. I have to pass him. So I think Oscar is not in the best state of mind. That's probably the understatement of the season. But you can also shift it around. And that's the only thing he has. He has hope for the next 3 races. Hope and just go all in, nothing to lose.
Just on that, because I watched this, and again, maybe... I've said on this podcast, I'd quite like Oscar to win the World Championship. So I'm watching it last night and I'm thinking to myself, is this my Oscar Piastri bias that is seeing me up off my seat screaming in my television? But...
Can you make that live next time? That you put an extra camera there?
I will do that.
It will be fun, right?
Because I was going crazy. Virtual safety car. He gets off to an incredible start. Kimi and Charles are kind of caught cold a little bit down the home straight. He's on the inside. Talk us through the incident, and I guess the $1 million question, was the 10-second penalty the right one?
Well, first of all, it's the most spectacular corner on the circuit, if you ask me. It's called the Senna S for a reason. It's named to the legendary Ayrton Senna, and his quote was famous for, if you no longer go for a gap, you're not a racing driver any longer. He did go for the gap, and rightly so, because Kimi had a bad restart. Oscar had the momentum of 2 drafts, initially of Leclerc, then of Kimi, went to the inside. And I've been there. You go up the hill and it feels tight. When you go over the hill, you're like, ooh, I'm not going to make it. And it feels like a roller coaster when you turn into the S's down the hill. But then again, Kimi squeezed him as well. He knew he was there. Initially, if a driver drags you down the long straight, you just hear the engine, you feel that he's there. And I'm sure the orange color in his mirror was also part of it. But Kimi's a young guy, feeling the pressure in his first year performing in Formula 1. So he closed the door. Yeah, they touch. And the rule says if your wheels are not in front of the apex or the symmetry of the front suspension at the apex of the other car, you have to give way. And to be honest, I understand he went for the gap, but it's risky. And the 10-second was fair at the end.
So it was fair.
It was fair.
Because, of course, the big loser out of it was Charles
Leclerc. On the outside.
On the outside.
And he actually was so good at the restart. He had to lift down the main straight because he almost passed Kimi already before the start-finish line. He lost out, but Ferrari lost out big. I mean, you talked about Reds in Liverpool losing out, but Ferrari, look at the score of Ferrari.
Yeah, we're going to get to Ferrari.
Very painful. And I didn't have a drink with that team boss. So.
No, we will. You're right. It's nothing to do with Robert Doornbos, the Ferrari front. We will get to that because, they had a nightmare of a weekend. I just want to come back to Oscar. So what you're saying is the 10-second penalty.
It's right. You can only ask from the marshals or the stewards to be consistent. And it's consistent that if you're not fully alongside, you get the penalty. From a racer's point of view, I was like, this is part of racing.
Exactly.
That's my racing heart said this is part of racing. So it would have been better, of course, for the championship if he didn't get the penalty, because he probably would have finished second. But yeah, then again, the rules are the rules.
And of course, on the sprint race on the Saturday, he's on turn 3. He just a little bit of moisture, the wet, and he crashes out. Is that a driver error or is that...
You might think I'm a little bit autistic guy, but I looked back at all the onboards, because you can do that in the F1 TV app. So I went to all the onboards on that lap, and I saw with 6 out of the 20 drivers a moment. 3 of them crashed, and the other 3, including Max Verstappen, had a huge moment, kept the throttle on, but not full, but like 70%, and caught it. So is it... Even Lando had the moment there because the drainage was still wet, and it put a lot of water out of the drainage onto the curb, even more onto the track. And if you come there with slick tires, it's a painted area. It's very tricky. So yes, is it unlucky? But it just didn't look like he had the fast hands at that moment. He was caught off guard. Big mistake.
Another mistake.
Another mistake. He can only look in the mirror and say, I made a mistake.
And they're compounding.
You go back to the team, your teammate wins again. So the vibe, debrief room. Hey, talk about the victory, Lando. Well executed, strong pace. Bad luck for you, Oscar. We'll fix the car in time for qualifying. Shoulders. Mentally, you have to push yourself again. Hey, guys.
I guess the only thing I would say, and yes, there was the disappointment of the 10-second penalty, and I'm talking Oscar here, is I felt he was a bit livelier. I felt there was a little bit more pace in the car on race day on Sunday.
Yes, I think so too. The first stint, second stint was probably better, but then he sounded already depressed on the radio. Like, guys, from my perspective, it doesn't look great. What are we doing? So, he was. It was not his weekend. Let's put it this way.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in the end Max Verstappen's weekend. But we got to talk about Max, because the highs and the lows of Formula One. I mean, he was dejected. He was, for Max.
Also the build-up towards it, Chris. I mean, the build-up, we all spoke, the internet was full of it all week long. That magical drive from 2024, Max from P17 to P1, destroying the competition, beating Lando in his mind as well to the World Championship, and also finally in the points. So the build-up was great. I'm sure Max doesn't look at it, and unfortunately doesn't watch our podcast. Or do you do, Max? No, maybe, yes.
Get on the WhatsApp.
Come on, watch our podcast. So I think for him it was like, okay, Brazil is a good weekend. I have good vibes here. Let's go for it. And then to see that the pace was just not there. The car looked awful.
Awful.
It looked a handful. Understeer, oversteer. And also, if you cannot clearly state to your engineer what is the problem... I always use the phrase, I give these motivational speaking sessions to companies, and I talk about the point that, Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street always said, sell me this pen. You can compare this to your being an engineer, the race team, and being a driver. A driver has to say to his engineers what he wants from the car. So the engineer will ask you one simple question: what do you need to go faster? And Max can always reply, I need this, I need that, I need it. And now he couldn't. He was just... mind blown. So guys, it's just slow. And then you have a big problem.
Yes.
Then you have a big problem.
Especially when you've got someone like Max who can extract everything out of a car.
Always. And tell the engineer where to look at,
There was just nothing there.
Nothing there.
So he ends up qualifying 16th.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have not, Jos.
I saw Jos walking away. Did you see Jos?
He
just walked out. And that's the moment, I think the camera guy was right on time, because that is the moment,
Jos. Furious. I'm going
to
leave,
limiter,
or I'm going to say something I'll probably regret. So they make the decision, right, given the fact that we're 16th, let's change things up. There was issues with the floor that I think they actually ditched from Mexico. They added a new floor in Mexico. They didn't take it to Brazil. They added the new engine. He started in the pits. Now, you need an awful lot to go your way. In order
Safety cars.
And it happened.
Didn't even happen.
Well, it did. The virtual
it didn't give him a huge advantage, because thanks to Lewis Hamilton, who was trying to overtake Colapinto on this main straight, and it just came out of his slipstream too late, broke his front wing. That debris destroyed Max's front tire. Puncture.
He'd already built his way up to 13th at that point.
Puncture.
I guess the only good news from it, he was on the hards. He was moaning about the hards. So very quickly, having already made one stop with a virtual safety car, he then had to make a second stop, but he got off of the hards.
Got the mediums on.
Got the mediums on.
So he fulfilled the rules of the tire regulations of driving at least at two different compounds. But then the medium, it's 71 laps. It's a long way.
Stint.
Yeah, it's a long stint. So, but it was a good call. And then Max got his head down. For some reason, you always see the helmet goes a little bit more forward, and then he's in Max mode. just impressive.
And then, right, I want to ask you this question because I've seen a lot. I was on the various forums last night, late into the night, and this morning, and a lot of F1 fans just asking the question. Now, it's interesting because reading one article, a number of rival engineers have also put forward the notion that maybe he could have stayed out. Now, for anyone that didn't see the race, we got 15 laps remaining. Unbelievably, Max finds himself leading the race. He's got a 7-second lead over Lando Norris. 7 seconds, 15 laps to go. He's on the old medium compound. Lando's got newish ones on. I think they had maybe nine laps on. Fresher tyres on. 7 seconds is the gap. And a lot of people are asking, why did Red Bull not take the risk to keep him out there, try and defend? You never know, there might be a safety car. Try and play the elements. What would you say to those individuals?
I understand that the risk is there. It's always a call if you have track position.
Reward, right?
Risk reward. The track position is great. Like you said, the safety car can happen. Then the laps will tick down, and there's a less of. But then again, if there's a safety car, the gap of 7 seconds is down to 0.
Fair.
And then with the older tires, it's harder to get them up to temperature again, and you will just struggle. Also, there's a cliff with these tires, so they perform for a long amount of time, and you will drop off. He was doing 114s. Lando was already doing 113s. So the team had to decide. We have half a second per lap gap.
That's what it was, yeah.
And if it drops to a second per lap, we're gone. And we might finish P8 and the championship is over. So having had such a terrible qualifying, we also have a new set of reds. Max, shall we go for it? Let's bolt on a new set of reds and go just ballistic in the final.
But, you know, a lot of people are saying, you say it there, they could have fallen off the cliff and he could have finished P8. A lot of people are pointing out, though, he eventually finished third.
Yeah.
He's already out of the drivers.
He's not out.
Or is he?
He's
49 points?
49 points. He's not out. It's still possible. There are 83 points up for grabs, I think. So
there is.
He's not out, and it ain't over till it's over. And we have seen this in the past as well, many times. Fights until the last round in Abu Dhabi, not to mention 2021. We had it with 2016 with Lewis and Nico. We had it with Vettel. It ain't over till it's over. And I know it looks very good for Lando and McLaren. But then again, Max and Red Bull, you know, it's Las Vegas street circuit. Anything can happen.
What is it about Max and Interlagos, Robert?
Maybe Brazilian wife, Brazilian missus gives you this extra... This extra vibe. Extra vibe. It's sort of a home race for him. He has many home races now. Zandvoort, Monaco, Brazil. It's Belgium, of course, Spa. Yeah, I mean, it's for some reason he just clicks and gels with the greatest, one of the greatest of all time, Ayrton Senna, and a legendary driver named to the circuit as well. And he feels at home. And we didn't, like I said, we didn't even have the rain. Can you imagine if there were spits of rain? Interlagos doesn't disappoint.
It doesn't. And Max very rarely disappoints. What is it like seeing a figure like Max in your mirrors as he's zooming up? Because he's made cutting through a field. He's made it an art form. Yeah, he made it an art form. And don't forget, it's one of the shortest circuits on the calendar in corners-wise. So we have, say, corner 12 and 13, but basically it's flat out up the hill. So it's not really, doesn't really count as corners. The final turn, the most important one, before you drag up along the whole hill and then towards turn 1, it's all about traction and acceleration. But if you're behind another car due to the dirty air, it's very hard to get your foot down because you have to wait for the car to settle and then you go. And you always lose then the momentum. What I noticed with Max is that he was always turning in earlier than the car in front, taking the curb, taking the risk, so almost bottomed out with the floor. And then he could step on the gas earlier. So the guys in front of him were just sitting ducks because they looked in the mirrors and oh, here he comes. And he passes them left and right on the outside. It was his track. So overall, knowing Max as you do, he's certainly not going to be happy with the weekend because Lando Norris has picked up 33 points, but starting in the pits. Yeah, he can be proud. To finish on the podium. I think he's proud of himself, of his drive, but more of the team for not giving up. You know, say, okay, guys, we're going to reset the car. We're going to just try anything different. And the problem is they don't have a second car that they can rely on. If you could say, if Yuki would have been half a second per lap faster, at least you can make him try stuff and say, does it work or doesn't it work? If now Yuki says it works,
I mean, yeah, that's not.
We're going to get to Yuki.
Yuki doesn't have a great Sunday either.
It was a horrendous day for Yuki Tsunoda. But finishing up, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you are Laurent Mekies,
Yeah.
do you keep Max out on those tyres, 7-second lead with 15 laps to go?
If it was the final race of the season, yes. If it's now, not. If you have the opportunity to make sure you get to the podium, almost sure, hoping that Max will make the move on George. Why not give it a go? Always go for the fresher tires, because Pirelli has proven in the past that if they drop off significantly, and you're just, you're lost. So now you keep the championship hope alive.
Talking about, we've got to do it. Sorry, Yuki. I mean, you've said it. An awful Sunday for that man. He got a 10-second penalty. And you weren't even aware of this. I think this passed you by. He got a 10-second penalty. I think there was a collision with one of the other
he
drivers.
punted off Lance Stroll.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he gets the 10-second penalty. He comes into the pits. He sits out the 10 seconds. He does the pit stop. And then a few short laps later, he's told, you did not correctly.
But how? But that's not his mistake then, because
someone's mistake.
So the 10-second rule is you park the car, when it stopped, the stopwatch starts. And no one can touch it. So if a mechanic probably would have touched it, then it's not his mistake, but it just adds up on his terrible Sunday afternoon, where at one stage, let's not forget, Max was in front of him. And then you see your teammate disappear into the distance and then finish 1 minute, 0.9 seconds behind him. That's just painful, Chris.
It is painful.
That's painful.
And
Talk about debrief.
Well, yeah.
What do you think the vibe is in the debrief room? Might as well skip the debrief.
Yeah. I mean, that is...
No, that's too much. That's too much.
It is too much.
And the team has nothing they can do. They stick with Yuki till the end of the year. We can guarantee that Yuki doesn't get the seat next year. That's just a positive. That's going to happen. So Yuki has to find a place somewhere else. They won't take him back at Racing Bulls because that doesn't make sense. Racing Bulls is all about giving young talent wings and taking them to the future.
So Yuki could be done.
Yuki can be test driver at Aston Martin because it's a Honda factory engine. Maybe that Honda will support him. Honda also announced in the past that they've done enough for Yuki's career to get him to a certain level where he has to prove himself without the backing of Honda. I would say the next option is IndyCar for Yuki.
Really?
Yeah.
You believe his F1 career at the end of the season?
I don't see Yuki back in the grid next year.
Oh.
That's my opinion.
Watch
and
this.
IndyCar, it's of course it's a downgrade from F1, but it's also a great series. I mean, we have a Japanese star there, Takuma Sato, who won the Indy 500 a few times and became a huge star after his Formula One career in IndyCar. So anything is possible. But yeah, with Yuki, he had his chance. You cannot say he didn't have his chance. I think he's 7 seasons now in Formula One. So.
Yeah, as you're driving around being told that you've got another 10-second penalty.
Yes.
Because you didn't, for whatever reason it was, you didn't. No,
it's almost like what Ferrari did with Lewis. Let's just retire the car, box and retire the car. It just feels bad. You're running last. The floor was damaged. What's the point?
Well, speaking of Lewis, I mean, you've got the quote there.
Yeah.
He says that he has been living a nightmare.
Living in a nightmare.
For a while now.
He said the dream of signing for this organization was, in my mind, massive. The reality hits different. It's a bit like Instagram versus reality. You know these pictures? I mean, this was not what he expected or Ferrari expected. You know, the qualifying pace is not there. The race pace is not there. The communication is not there. The energy is not there. I mean, it's been one of the worst Ferrari driver campaigns in history.
And we're talking about
the 7-time world champion.
You said it on this pod. Had he not been coming into a regulation change year, they would have shaken hands and gone their separate ways.
Yeah, you have to give him the chance for 26, because if the car is good, and that's the reason he signed for 2 years, if the car is good and he beats Leclerc, suddenly he's the hero again. But I say if, because I can also understand that it might not happen, and then Ferrari has to look elsewhere to young talent. They have a young talent, Oliver Behrman, who finished 6th again in the points yesterday, is doing a great job.
He's
the young brilliant rookie campaign.
The last few weeks,
fantastic.
He's been really good. For Lewis, though, yes, there was a bit. I mean, what was it? Charles qualified 3rd, and Lewis qualified 13th.
13th. 2.5 million per weekend. Well,
great if you can get
the name is worth it. I mean, he is one of the all-time greats. If not, he could have been the all-time great for one lap in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, let's hope. I have a Ferrari heart as well. I really want to see Ferrari win, and to see them go home with 0 points in Brazil, which is really a racing country, nation, and they love Ferrari drivers in the past. They had Felipe Massa, they had Rubens Barrichello, and now they have they have a Brazilian to cheer for. Not for long though. He
lasted one lap?
They lasted one lap in both races. Well, his damage into the turn one was just mind-blowing.
Oh, it was.
That was a proper write-off.
Yeah.
Even the steering arm came off. You know, his steering wheel was hanging outside of the car. It was a big crash.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about Ferrari in your hearts, and we had David Coulthard on the pod. Big thanks to DC again. We haven't had time to debrief on that interview, but he talked about the fact that for him, Ferrari was never something he really dreamt of or thought of. Are young kids today, Robert, are they still dreaming of Ferrari given their struggles in the last 2007?
Well, I think it's a general problem of big car manufacturers or any big luxury brands trying to reach the younger audience. How do you reach them? Because the Ferrari dream starts as a young kid, that you see a Ferrari drive, and then one day when I'm older and successful, I'll buy a Ferrari. And that transforms also to the circuit. If they have success at the track, their supercar business does better. Now you see they're struggling on both sides a little bit.
Badly struggling.
Badly. And, so to get the audience excited about it again, they need to start winning. That's the basic rule. So they need to change the organization. And of course, they have a new audience they attracted by signing Lewis Hamilton. But it's not enough if you can't win, So long road ahead.
I mean, you're in it far more than I am. Are they still paying the big salaries? Are they getting the best engineers and mechanics, or are they tending now to stay in the UK, and are they joining your Mercedes and your McLaren?
Well, Adrian Newey got a mega offer supposedly to go there, didn't do it, chose to stay in the UK, and for the new Aston Martin project, that sounded better to him. For £400,000 a week, I think anybody would do it, but rightly so. I mean, he does
let's see
draw winning cars from a white piece of paper. So he proved himself over the years. For the most successful years at Ferrari was when there was a whole British organization.
Yeah, Ross Brawn.
Rory Byrne, Ross Brawn, Schumacher also not being British, but he attracted all these guys around him, and that made a difference.
Ferrari then in trouble, and then obviously Charles going along, minding his own business, and then his weekend spoiled as well. It was a wretched weekend, and Ferrari are now fourth.
Yeah.
In the drivers.
So Red Bull overtook them with one guy taking the points. Most of the points by Red Bull is done by Max. Yeah, it's crazy if you think about it.
Oh, it's awful. Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
What does happen at Ferrari?
I would say a mega engine will help them next year for sure. I mean, it's going to be an engine championship, so I hope that they have figured out this EV combustion engine balance, because then they will be up there, and the chassis doesn't really matter.
It's
really going to be like that. Of course, you need a decent chassis, but you don't need to have the best aerodynamics or mechanical grip if you have the strong engine. On the other side, if you have a decent engine and you have a mega aerodynamic package, like DC said in our podcast, then all eyes on Aston Martin with Adrian Newey.
Yeah, watch this space. I am excited for when
let's first finish this season.
When those covers are removed.
Yeah, February. We're going to go to the testing in Bahrain.
When we see these new cars. But to your point, 3 races remaining. We've got a 2-week gap. Then it's Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. Boom, boom, boom.
Sprint in Qatar as well. Qatar is not the most exciting track for Formula 1, to be honest. It's really, you're driving on your own. You have to be clean. If you're behind another car, too much dirty air, and it's almost impossible to overtake. You just have one long straight. Vegas, though, anything can happen.
So it's not over.
It's not over.
24 points from Lando to Oscar. 49 from Lando to Max.
Yeah.
Max still have a big
also,
say.
but we talk about these top 3, of course, because they're fighting for the championship. But if you could see in Brazil as well, suddenly cars were in the top 10 that were normally not there. So at the end of the year, it changes because some of the teams stopped their development already for this year's car, like McLaren. And then Racing Bull doesn't. And suddenly Racing Bull has 2 cars in the top 10. So they can also still points away. Mercedes is pushing. Look at Antonelli 2 times on the podium.
We haven't touched on Kimi.
Great weekend. His best.
Great weekend. His best in an F1 car. Deserves a lot of credit. Yes, we're talking about the fact he turned in a little bit. He got away
lucky
with
there.
it. He did get lucky. And then give him his due. Because he had 5 laps where he's got Max Verstappen,
4-time world champion on the limiter in your mirrors. Yeah. He was really trying to force a mistake. You know, when he was driving into his mirrors and diving. And you can say, okay, Kimi, just look ahead. But in your eyes, you feel this blue and orange colors of the Red Bull just looking for a gap.
And you know it's
and
Max.
You know it's who. You know it's not Yuki. You know it's Max.
No, it's definitely not Yuki. Sorry, Yuki. But Kimi, it was good because he started the season so well.
Yeah.
We talked about it. He's had a bit of a dip. He's gone off the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's finishing the season.
Yeah, signed his new contract. Consistency, trust from the team that said, okay, Toto, team boss obviously said, Kimi, we've invested a lot in you. We believe in you. Relax, enjoy the ride, work on it. And I'd have to say, I mean, with Bono as an engineer, I think he has a great future ahead at Mercedes.
Yeah, I did love it. I think it was Bono that came on with about 5-6 laps to go and say, Kimi,
this is it.
This is it, mate. We'll leave it to you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Something of
very cool. Because Bono sounds, worked with Lewis Hamilton for all those years, won mega 7 world championships, or not with Lewis, I think he won 5, but he knows what it's like to work with a star driver. And then you have Kimi sounding like a rookie, like on fire. Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. You know, like I'm on it. There's Max behind me. And all eyes ahead, Kimi, this is yours.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
We'll leave you to it, Kimi.
Yeah.
We'll catch up at the end. And then it was boy. And then, of course, Kimi, the youthful exuberance. Absolutely, as he should be. Delighted and proud.
Of course.
At his efforts.
Yeah.
To finish second.
Yeah, mega.
Really
mega. Good for him.
Race weekend. So when you reflect on it all, this past weekend, is this the weekend that we're going to look back on and be like, yep, this is the weekend that Lando Norris...
I was more disappointed after Mexico. I thought, okay, the gap that McLaren suddenly showed, I was like, okay, they found something and this is it. Now in Brazil, yes, he was fast and he won everything, but he was not so dominant anymore. So that gives me some hope that there's more in it for, you know, I'm not against Lando, of course, but I want the championship to be decided in the final round in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
If it's so close, why not extend it another 2-3 weekends?
I'm with you on that. And it's interesting, you can maybe give us an insight into this, into the mind of these drivers. Back to back to back.
Back to back to back can be good, because if you have a bad result, a few days later you can reset, go to the gym, work out, get your head clear and back in the car. As for Oscar now, it's more difficult because there's quite a long gap. You want to recover. It's physically, mentally tough because there's quite a big of time difference. Las Vegas to Qatar in a few days. Prepare yourself mentally very well. Then again, they're racing at night in Vegas. It's a street circuit. It's cold in the desert, as we know here from Dubai. If you go outside at night, the temperature drops. And it's a street track where anything can happen. Safety cars guaranteed. Walt Disney for grown-ups, a lot of distractions. So keep your head clear. And
what's that track like? Give us a bit of a detailed breakdown.
It's really constructed, obviously, for the show element. It's nothing that drivers will say in hindsight that was a stunning track. No, it's showtime. It's Las Vegas. The American owners, they have their headquarters there, Liberty Global, they're proud of it, of course. That
it's their baby as well,
It's their baby. They constructed it, their baby, they manage it. The city is upside down for 2 weeks. It's big business, as you can imagine, and we need some cars driving around. Let's make it spectacular. It's not the fastest street circuit in the world. That belongs to Jeddah, which is amazing. This has his own characteristics. Of course, if you pass by the Wynn and the Bellagio, and I mean, it has something great for the audience, spectators live there, but from a driver's perspective point of view, just keep it out of the wall.
I know this is a stupid question, and I'm famous for my stupid questions, but I'm gonna ask a stupid question. I know you guys are tunnel vision. I know you're focused on the track, but do all the bright lights, do they permeate in, or do you just not see them?
No, you don't see it after a while anymore. I think that when you pass the sphere, you cannot miss it. Obviously, it's quite bright. But I remember my street circuits where I did, for example, what I had more difficulty with was, for example, Surfers Paradise. I raced there in IndyCar. the parade lap, because when you're at speed, it becomes like a tunnel. But if it's the warm-up lap to the grid, I was warming my tires, and I look to the right, and I see some guys there having a barbecue. So I smell the barbecue, and I look to the left, and I see a girl in a bikini, and I almost crashed the car. So that was more difficult for me than the racing in general. So I think for Las Vegas, these guys should just focus on the track.
It does amaze me on these street circuits how tight they are.
It's very tight.
And I don't think we give F1 drivers enough credit for. It's not just circuits, the tracks themselves. It's the surroundings that they've got to.
The surroundings, the bumps. I mean, it's not flat. It's not made for Formula One cars. These are just you're hitting with your bum at 350 kilometers an hour. It actually gets warm underneath your seat, so you feel like, because it's scraping over the floor, and that's why you see the sparks. So you have to find the perfect ride height balance without hurting yourself too much and feeling the grip of the car. Then again, every session the track evolves, but if you come there overnight, they open the track again. So cars drive, there are oils on track, beer will be spilled on track. Next morning, the track feels completely different. So it's intense as a driver, a street circuit. It's intense.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Right, conscious of time, Robert.
Yeah.
It's always great to have you on the pod. It really is. A couple of last questions to wrap up. You said a few weeks ago you were backing Max for the title. You cannot still be backing Max now, Robert.
No, but I cannot swap every weekend.
No, true.
It's like I'll stick with him. Magic things do happen in Formula One. Who knows what happens in the final lap, in the final turn in Abu Dhabi. But I'm sticking with him. May the best man win, of course. If Lando deserves it, he deserves it. But it would be awesome if the championship fight.
I think we speak for all F1 fans here. We've got no skin in the game. We need someone other than Lando to win in Vegas. It's as simple as that.
True. Yeah. No, if I just posted this morning something about what are the chances of Max winning. Yes, he has to win everything. Vegas, sprint in Qatar, Grand Prix in Qatar, and obviously the final in Abu Dhabi.
He needs to be perfect.
He needs to be picture perfect like he has been already in a few races this year. And Lando needs to have a situation, a little incident. Who knows? But then again, if he has a perfect weekend, Lando, all credits to Lando.
Yeah, well, listen, Lando's is coming off the back of a perfect weekend. 33 points up for grabs. He picked up all 33. He now leads the championship by 24 points. All roads do lead to Abu Dhabi, but the next one up in 2 weeks' time is Sin City of Las Vegas. And I cannot wait, Robert. And then, of course, we'll be back here.
Yeah, we're back here. I was on the track Saturday, actually. I did some hot laps with the Porsche Cup car. I was thinking about you. You should join me.
I want to join you. Not driving, obviously, but I will be your passenger.
Let's do that in the Abu Dhabi circuit. We're going to do that one day.
Yeah, we are going to do it. I just want to point out as well, anyone that loves the podcast, we are doing a watch along with the Qatar Airways Qatar Grand Prix. We're going to be doing that with Roxy Cinemas.
Cool.
Opportunity for you guys to come down, watch the race with Robert and myself, and then there will be an interactive podcast immediately after the race. So if you're in the United Arab Emirates, Roxy Cinemas will get the details up on our social media platforms in the coming days. Yeah. That's going to be exciting as well.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to give away a hot lap in a Porsche car. They have to like the podcast, they have to tag their friends, and I will just randomly pick somebody out to be my co-pilot.
Love that. Yeah. I want to be a co-pilot as well. And also, tickets will be available. We're giving away tickets to the Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on that night as well. It is the Pit Talk podcast. It is powered by Ethara. Robert Doornbos.
Lovely.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you in a couple of weeks. Yeah, Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. I tell you what, can you get us over there?
Yeah. If I think of Vegas, I think of my bachelor that I actually, at 7 o'clock in the morning, my friends took me to the Vegas airport and they said, Robert, it's your time now to jump out of a plane. So I thought they would join me. They didn't. So they pushed me into the van. I had to fill in a document. Did you consume any alcohol in the past 8 hours? And I was like, nope. And then I was suddenly up in the air and the guy opened the window or the door and my feet were hanging out like this. And I could see the Hoover Dam was this big. The Las Vegas Strip was this small. 5 kilometers up in the air. And he said, any last words? And the guy had a GoPro on his wrist. And I said, you see my eyes with red eyes like this. Vegas, baby. And I just dropped out.
And you survived.
And I survived, and I'm here.
Survived to
Great
tell
memories.
the tale. Yeah, if you've never been to Vegas, I've been a few times. Wow. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you're doing that. Jumping out of a plane. Right, we're back in a couple of weeks, reflecting on the Vegas Grand Prix.
Yeah.
We are 21 races down, just 3 to go. All roads lead to Abu Dhabi with Ithara. A reminder, AbuDhabiGP.com, that's the place to find out ticket information. If you're going to any of the concerts, the Gold Circle, that's what you want to be. That's where Robert's going to be with his lovely wife, I'm sure, in that Gold Circle. That is where to be for all of the after-race concerts. But from us here now, after the Brazilian Grand Prix, it's ta-da.
Ta-da. Ta-da? Did you say ta-da?
Ta-da.
Is that new?
Ta-da, ta-da.
Oh.
Either way, it works, I think. Ta-da.
Bye.